Hello Beyonders, this is Daniel Beyond. A few subscribers asked me to make a second deep intel assessment. Here we go. As you may know in the news, things are getting hot between West and the East, Russia and NATO. Let's dissecate this. As you may know, I possess exoteric information, deep intel, beyond and above what you normally can reach on the normal channels. I believe your elite gave up on world dominance. The dollar is insolvent. The US economy is beyond the point of return. Actually, the US dollar was built upon Chinese gold. There is century-old Chinese bonds. I know this very well because I worked on this market for some 12 years. Bottom line here, if you think those Western guys, these businessmen, Amazon and Bill Gates and Elon Musk, if you think for half a second these guys are the world's richest men, no, they are not even close. I have seen secret accounts around 100 digits, and people above me told me, and my source was beyond reproach. There are accounts from, let's say, Asian royals with several hundreds of digits. I even say thousands of digits. Remind you, 1 trillion has only 12 zeros or 13 digits. And there are people on this planet with thousands of digits. Why I am saying this? Because this magnitude of wealth can buy any politician in the world, especially president. And if a foreign power can buy your head of state, your country is done. Because your head of state, they have a strong grip on your military, and if a president became an international agent, a secret spy, a traitor, he can facilitate your demise, the future military defeat or invasion. I saw a dream about World War III, and God said to the bear, which is Russia, you are the strongest. To the dragon, China, you are the most dangerous. And to the eagle, which is obviously America, he said, you are the foolish because you let the gates open. Gates open is a medieval code name for a traitor. Because if a castle is being invaded and the invaders have an insider agent inside the castle, the traitor will unlock the gates, probably during the night, so the invaders can dominate and take the castle. I know very well how capable the US military machine is, all your technology, this and that. But if your elite is sold, it's over. Because they have access to nuclear codes, they can sabotage the codes, they can lock the response in the heat of the battle, let's say. What I'm saying is, the US dollar was built on Chinese gold. I talk about thousands of tons. The real quantity of gold on the planet is much bigger than is officially said. There are many thousands, maybe even millions of metric tons of gold, most of them Chinese gold. But China had a problem early in the last century because of the Japanese invasion. A lot of Chinese gold was sent to US on warships on battleships. In exchange of all this gold, the US emitted treasury bonds to these families, to these Chinese families, not just Chinese, but a lot of them is Chinese. There are families from the surrounding countries as well. But let's say Vietnam and other countries, but they are of Chinese descendants. But the thing is, China is now a superpower. They have at least 10,000 nuclear weapons hidden inside the mountains. The official number of 300 is from 40 years ago. I saw an interview from a Russian general, and he said China has at least 10,000 nukes. If the dollar was backed on Chinese gold, actually China owns the US. And if you can't pay back what you have bought, what happens next? Repossession. Because I believe your elite is not worried about you, worried about winning World War III. All this effort in Ukraine, in happening in Ukraine, maybe is real, or it's just a show, because they are just depleting the system, the weapon systems of the entire West. Because the real concern is not defeating Russia. You cannot defeat Russia, period. They never lost a war in 1,000 years. They won't lose now. Why do you think Russia is the largest country in the world? Answer: because Russia destroyed every empire she ever faced. That's the reason. You look in the map, and Russia is big as a planet. They are not thinking they will beat Russia. The real concern is the coming of the planet X that will cause pole shifts, meteor shower, and then sinking of country. That's why they spent 20-30 trillion building an underground country, which the main entrance is in Denver airport. They have an underground country to prepare for the impact of Revelation 8:18-21. They are preparing for this impact for at least some 50 years. Because I believe after the nuclear bombardment from Russia, China will land in the West. They will take US mainland at least until west of the Rocky Mountains. Maybe they will be unable to surpass the Rock. All this California region, all this will be taken by them, and the survival will be enslaved. You don't want to survive that. If you want to survive World War III as a POW, go to Alaska, go to British Columbia, because that will be taken by Russia. Remember, Russians are Christians. They are much more Christian than you. Chinese are not. And let me tell you, they eat tigers. They eat tigers and bears. You Western have one chance of survival. And this survival is named Russia, and blew you up. There are two great world threats, Islam and China. I'm talking about preserving the Western civilization. From the Western point of view, there are two major world threats, Islam and China. They are expensive. And Russia is also a white Christian nation. And Russia deal with both of them with great success for 1,000 years. Russia was the shield against both of them. If the Western civilization was really serious about surviving, the key was allying with Russia, not bully them to death, arming every enemy of her, and the chance is gone. Absolutely. Remind you, Vladimir Putin, until December 2012, he tried joining NATO. Portugal, Lisbon to Vladivostok, an entire western belt of security. Oh no, you blew that. In the 60s, if you think Russia and China are natural allies, they are not. They are natural enemies. They are mortal enemies. Don't be fooled by this Putin and Xi Jinping friendship. Do not be fooled by that. They are mortal enemies. They hate each other orders of magnitude more than the West. This is Western beef, but they need to ally because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But in the 60s, Russia wants to nuke China, and they share this information with the US government. And who was the Secretary of State? Henry Kissinger. Russia said, we want to nuke China because they had a border conflict, and a few hundred soldiers died, and Russia, foreseeing the future problem of the neighboring giant. They want to nuke China. All its citizens, and they share this information. Henry Kissinger said no, and he threatened Russia with war if they nuked China. So Russia saw they couldn't ally with US, and they were forced to ally with China. And then the Chinese asked for the nuclear technology, nuclear and missile technology, and the Soviets, they sold in exchange for dozens of millions of tons of grains and food, which killed some 20-30 million Chinese, which for them is nothing. And now China is a nuclear power. And you have two giants, two ancient, wise, giant nuclear monster together as your enemy. The chance to defeat them both is zero. Because as I say, the real chance of the West civilization to withstand, I wouldn't say defeat or destroy, it's not what I'm telling here, but the chance to withstand both Islam and China was allying with Russia, using her as a shield against both, which they do with great success for many centuries. As I said, this chance is gone. And if you think Islam is a real threat, think again, because remind you, China has almost 2 billion people, 10,000 nukes. They are building warships at breakneck speed. They have dozens of millions of Chinese in Africa. I saw many videos of Africans enslaved by them, being whipped and tortured by Chinese. What I'm about to tell you maybe sound as a joke, may think I'm crazy or not. Just my knowledge is on exclusive level. The Chinese party 15 years ago, they made 2 declarations, very disturbing, extremely disturbing. One of them is named 6 wars until 2060. They said to China regain her imperial greatness because the Chinese government is embedded with irredentism, which means they claim everybody's territory. They are not happy being the 3rd largest country in the world. They want land everywhere. They think the earth belongs to them and we have to move to Mars. They said they need to win 6 wars until 2060. They claim, of course, the first Taiwan, then the South China Sea, and then Vietnam, and then Philippines. They claim because they believe all these countries around them, Indochina, Philippines, Vietnam, are all Chinese colonies. All these people were descended from Chinese. They are independent, but the people descend from China. And the last, of course, they claim half of Japan. And the last war, guess what? Is again Russia. Yes, Russia. And that was not an opinion for just a freak politician. That was a consensus of the party. And this decree affirmed that over 8% of Russian territory belongs to China. All the east of the Urals mountain. If you look at the map, Russia is a giant flat land, and just the Urals mountain has some altitude. The Russian people, as you know, all these blonde, blue-eyed people that you see on TV, they don't inhabit the entire Russian land. They just live in the European Russia, which is between the Urals mountain until toward the westward. So between the Urals mountain and Belarus and Ukraine and Poland. But beyond Taurus Mountain, there are no Slavs. All the people living in those lands, they are Asians, they are Mongols. They don't even speak Russian. They are not Christians. But some, let's say 200, 300, 200 or 300 years ago, they colonized the East until Alaska, and which they sold to US. But these people are not Russian, they are not Slavs. So China says, the Chinese part says, all this land, all these people belong to China. And there are quite a few prophecies saying that after World War III, just after World War III, when Russia and China defeat the West, and as I said, Russia takes Europe until Paris. Russia takes Alaska, British Columbia. China takes US, Australia, New Zealand, I don't know. Someone say China will take New Zealand, others say Russia will take New Zealand, I don't know. But US and Australia is on the dragon grip. Okay? But as soon as the dust settle and they destroy the West, the remaining elite of Europe, they will offer to the Chinese some secret deal, some exoteric knowledge. I don't know what it is. It may be some ancient technology, some extremely exotic, exoteric knowledge. I don't know what it is, but they will convince China to attack Russia from behind, from the east, so it will alleviate forcing the Russian army to retreat from Europe to hold back the Chinese invasion. I saw a few World War III dreams saying about this. And the thing is, Russia has this threat of China taking the entire land east of the Taurus Mountain. So that's the first part of the Chinese decree about world irredentism. The second is about the American continent. They say the American continent, guess what? Belongs to China. Why? Because the original inhabitants of the American continent is a native Indian, and there is some truth on this. They live here for thousands of years, and we, European descendants, we came here in the last few centuries. The family of my father landed in Brazil from Portugal in 1918, just after the World War I. That's nothing. So they say we are invaders, and the real proprietors, the real owners of the American continent are the Indians. And the Indians descend from the Chinese, and also there is some truth on this. So if the Indians are the owners of the American continent and they are descendants of the Chinese, so the American continent belongs to China, and we are just invaders. So with this statement, they pave the ground of the intellectual authority to invade the American continent. And add to this infinite purchasing power from the royal families. As I said, they are richest people in the world. And I know what I'm talking about. One of the strongest military in the world. They have almost 1,000 warships. There is a leaked audio from a Chinese general, and he said that they need 900 to 1,000 ships, cargo ships, for what? To land in the West Coast. Didn't say what was the reason, but he said we need 900 ships, cargo ships. But he was not a businessman. He was a general. He was talking about invasion. I believe things are going really hot late next year. If you need a daily news channel for preparedness, okay, for prepping, this and that, I recommend you a channel I like a lot. I follow this guy for 10 years, which is the Canadian prepper. He's the best for world news and prepping. He also has a store selling all kind of things, foods and stuff. He's located in British Columbia. And for spiritual support, revelation, I recommend the Master Voice, a prophetess named Celestial. She's great, and she's very vocal about the coming destruction of America, which is of course because of sins. If you are serious about survival, really serious, I would remember this. The first and most important prepping step is moving to safe location. Doesn't matter if you have food for jackets and guns and you live in New York and LA, it's over, you're dead. The first step is moving to safe location, period. If you can move to safe location, if you live in a nuke target, okay, it's over. So the safest move, stay away of nuclear targets. So I believe South America is a great place, like the Andes, Chile and Argentina. They are Western countries. You feel like Europe among them, okay? And there are places there thousands of feet height and will be very safe. But if you can leave North America, I will put this first: Alaska or British Columbia, because they will be taken, but will be taken by Russia. Remember, Russians are Christian. All they want is to convert you to the Orthodox Church and give you a passport. That's it. If you stay in mainland and become a POW from the Chinese, it's over. There are a few places in West that I believe there are good chance to survive, like Rocky Mountains, in the top of the mountains, okay, at least 4,000 feet high. And Appalachian Mountains, yes, there is some good chance as well. I believe altitude is king, because the higher you are, the less people are among you, the less is the reason to send an army or to drop a nuke over a hut in the mountains, okay, or some wooden cottage. Small place in the mountains, somewhere discreet, settle. They will watch you from a satellite or a drone, or you are just a guy in the mountain. I believe that is the people will survive. Small communities, there is some good chance you will survive. Remember, altitude is king. There is no substitute for altitude. A few years after, why I'm so insistent on altitude? Because, as I said, years after the war, the continents will sink, repeating what happened in Atlantis, which is the subject of my next video, Virgo in Pieces, the End of the World. What happened there was they have a nuclear war against Lemuria, which was a continent in the Pacific. They had a world war, a nuclear war, 13,000 years ago. Atlantis lost, Atlantis was invaded, and Atlantis sank in the ocean. Let's put yourself in God's shoes. If you create the earth to be inhabited, you create the continents and the seas and the oceans, but the continent is uninhabitable because they nuke each other. The continent became a nuclear wasteland, a nuclear cemetery, a desert. It lost its reason to be. What we will do? You sink the continent and you lift another world to restart, to reset the history that God did 13,000 years ago at the sinking of continents. And guess what? That it's coming in many prophecies. There is nothing new under the sun. That's exactly what is written in Revelation 8:8, Revelation 18:21. The impact of a giant asteroid which will sink the continent. But the highest peaks of the continents will survive becoming islands. So I believe the highest peaks of British Columbia, Alaska, Rocky Mountains, the Andes, forget Central America because the impact will happen there. They will just sink and disappear. But in Chile, in Argentina, there are very high places, over 10,000 feet high. The higher the better, okay? Altitude is king, remember this. And your chance to survival are really good. I can't affirm this with certainty, but there is a great chance for this time. After the nuclear war, you count 7 years. I don't know when this happened. The certainty is the prophecy, not the timing. But we can have a reasonable amount of certainty. After the nuclear war, you count 7 years for the impact. 7 years. It's not certainty, it's let's say, a possibility, but the source came from a very high place. Okay? And I saw in my dreams that the impact will happen during New Year's Day. Okay? So, after the nuke, you count 7 years. In the next New Year's Day, I believe the impact may happen. So this decade won't happen. But in the next decade, there is some reasonable chance the impact may happen. Many people saw it will happen just after a New Year's Day, but I don't know which year. Mark this sequence. There is a lot of end times cross-reading on this. Mark yourself this sequence. The sequence of the end times. First, 7 new stars, which is the Nibiru, which is a red dark star, let's say a brown dwarf, is crossing our solar system. So from the 7 stars, the biggest is the red Nibiru. The second is the blue Kashina, the native Indians from America say a lot about this, the Hopi prophecy. They talk a lot about the blue Kashina. So you have red, blue, and 5 more is the opening of the end time, of the apocalypse. 7 new stars. Okay? Second sign, nuclear war. Third sign, the Messiah. Oh, is Jesus? No, it's not Jesus. The Messiah is a different person. The Messiah will be revealed. Possibly he will be crowned somewhere in the world. Not NATO. It's not NATO. It's not China. It's not Russia. It's another country. Only God knows where and who. The Messiah will be revealed and crowned. The Messiah goes to Israel and is crowned King of Israel. And the Messiah will be identified as the Messiah of the Muslims as well. That's which they call the Imam Mahdi or Hazamadi. That's why he will be able to bring peace between Israel and the Arabs, because the Messiah of the Jews and the Messiah of the Islamic Messiah is the same man. I know this very well, trust me. That's the very last sign before the sinking of continents. When you see that Israel has a king after 26 centuries, that's the very last sign before the impact. When Israel crowned his king, which is descendant of the King David, patrilineal side, and he will also be king over the Islamic countries. That's the very last sign, mark my words, before the impact. Then you have the impact. So, first, the 7 stars. Second, nuclear war. Third, the Messiah is revealed. 4, the Messiah is crowned King of Israel. And 5th, the sinking of continents. That's the end time clock. When you have the sinking of continents, that's the beginning of the Age of Aquarius. There is a 3,000 or 4,000 years old Phoenician prophecy named The Secret of the Holy Cross. This prophecy say about the king of Aquarius, which is the Messiah. And in this prophecy, it's written the year of the birth of this king, which is the same year of birth of the Islamic Messiah, the Imam Mahdi. Both the king of Aquarius and the Imam Mahdi, the Messiah of Islam, they both are born in the same year, which is early in the 80s. This man is alive He's here on this planet. He's not a child. He's here. He's an adult, and he is around. He is on his 40s, and after nuclear war, he will be revealed. So there is many prophecies saying the same thing. Okay, I think that's enough. And don't miss my videos. I will make a last world tsunami prophecy with my personal revelations since my childhood, and this will be the last world tsunami prophecy, and then Virgo in Pisces, the end of the world, will be my most complex, my greatest video, I believe. And then I will stop with Endtimes. And I know the heaviness of this matter, but we have to face the reality. And as a watchman, I believe is wrong, would be wrong to hold all my knowledge just to myself, okay? I believe knowledge must be shared, no matter what. Thank you for watching.